साधन भी हो, संसाधन भी हो और सामर्थ्य में कोई कमी ना हो, ऐसे हिंदुस्तान के लिए कोई कारण नहीं है कि हमारा देश अब पीछे रह जाए। नववर्ष की नई किरण नई सफलताओं का संकल्प लेकर के आ रही है। आइए हम सब मिलकर चल पड़े, बाधाओं को पार करते चले, एक नए उज्जवल भविष्य का निर्माण करें। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
Okay, that was the big speech from Prime Minister Modi. Lots coming there for various sectors, courtesy the Prime Minister. No direct reference as such to any direct money being transferred in any Jan Dhan accounts, but the Prime Minister has given a very, very clear idea of what he believes should be the road ahead for the government and should be the road ahead for the poorer sections, both in rural areas as well as in the urban pockets of the country. Lots of interesting tweaks to many existing schemes. Prime Minister also making it clear that whether it is rural housing sector or its urban housing sector, there is something in this for everyone. Effectively, what Prime Minister Modi has done is that this 50-day period of demonetization, where he himself had come in for a lot of criticism, both globally and locally, he's now trying to take the next big step and trying to give this message across to people across India that having suffered the pain of demonetization for 50 days, there is something for everyone to look forward to. Let's get some quick comments from some people joining us on the phone line. Dr. Sanjay Baru, a former media advisor to Dr. Manmohan Singh, joining us. And here, of course, Pankaj Chaudhary is there with us. But Dr. Baru, thanks for joining us. Your initial comments. What do you make out of this? Something in this for everyone from Prime Minister Modi?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the fact is that they've all recognized that in the last 6 weeks, several segments of the population have been adversely affected, partly because of the lack of cash, partly because of having to stand in queues. So, in a sense, all these are palliatives meant to kind of smoothen ruffled feathers, if you like. And there are initiatives for elderly. There've been initiatives for elderly that they had to stand in queues, and therefore reaching out to senior citizens, to farmers, to small-scale industry, to women. I guess all of this is meant to show, offer some level of comfort, recognizing that people have suffered. In my own view, the most important lesson of the last 6 weeks is the incredible patience of the Indian people. I mean, we have not had any violence anywhere in the country of any significant amount, despite all the hardships people have gone through due to the shortage of cash.
But Dr. Baru, look at the substance of what Prime Minister Modi has spoken about today. Other than tweaking the existing loan structures for building of houses, for extension of houses, both for rural poor as well as urban poor, he has also said that the government is going to set itself a target of building 33% more houses for rural poor. Now that's a huge target. If you look at the existing, existing Swachh Bharat mission, building toilets, now this seems to be the next big mission for the Prime Minister.
Well, I don't think it's so much about numbers. I mean, we'll have to wait to the budget to see how much allocations are made for all these programs to understand how much of it can be translated into real program. I think this speech was more about expressing his, conveying a sense of concern that a lot of people have suffered. He is recognizing that and offering something. Now, whether this will work or not, it depends. But I think at the end of the day, the speech is about really saying that, look, I know you guys have suffered, and, here is something I'm able to do to reduce that suffering. But on the whole, that demonetization was good. It is going to fight black money. It's going to, change the way in which business is done. That's the message.
While you say, sir, that the message is that he recognizes the pain. Yeah. The point is that there were many who thought, and again, if I was to take you back to the speech that was made by the Prime Minister on the 8th of November, the feeling was that post this 50-day period, there will be some very clear-cut, tangible, immediate, low-hanging fruit which will be identified by the Prime Minister, by the government. Do you get that sense at all from the speech?
No, look, you have to leave something for the Finance Minister, no? I mean, 1 month from now, he's got a budget speech to give, so everything will be announced. Now, I guess Mr. Jaitley's job has been kind of made it easier now. But on the other hand, he also has to have something in his sleeve, up his sleeve.
I agree with you. I agree with Dr. Baru. Thanks for joining
Thank
us.
you.
But I think you've given us a fair idea, a good way, a fair way of interpreting what the Prime Minister has done today is just to say that while he has given us some indication, he's given us some facts, some figures of what he intends to do, he has also given us the roadmap of what to expect on the 1st of February from Arun Jaitley when he starts making his budget speech. Let's get quick comments from our studio panelists as well, starting first with you, Pankaj Bachori. Lots there, Pankaj, for all sections. You know, he says that if you are an honest person, you shall not suffer. 9 lakh loans in urban areas. Those who want housing loans up to 9 lakhs will pay 4% less interest rates. If you want 12 lakh loans, you'll pay 3% less interest rates. Similar proposals in rural areas as well. What do you make out of this?
See, the Prime Minister has tried to he's talked in terms of pop psychology first, and he talked about things like Bhashtachar, Kaladhan, Dhairya, Crushed, Ladai. He quoted Iqbal. He also referred to Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So from pop psychology of the country that everyone wants to be imandar and honest, he went on to pop economics. And pop economics was basically to tweak with the existing schemes of the government. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana has already been there, and the subsidy regime has
but
been...
He's increasing it. But he's increasing the
subsidy. No, he's not increasing. He's subsidizing more for the housing for the urban and for the housing for the villages in the rural areas. He said 33%, which you are saying. It's not much, because in India you need right now about 20 million new houses, and all these houses are not built by the government grants and this thing.
No, but if the Prime Minister he says that 33% more houses, because I think that's an important point that the Prime Minister flagged off,
yes,
which has potential of completely rewriting the political narrative for the BJP, certainly as we enter in election season. Sudesh Verma, BJP spokesperson, joining us as well. Sudeshji, it seems to be a speech which is full of potential. It seems to be a speech which is full of hope. The Prime Minister would like to end 2016 giving this message to the people of country that if they have suffered over these last 50 days, he feels their pain, he understands their pain, and now he's giving us hope. But what happened to that expectation that there will be some physical money which will be transferred into the accounts of rural poor? Is this just the first step? Are there more stops to come, Sudesh Verma?
I don't know what you're talking from. Where did you get this information that money will be actually transferred into the account of rural poor? Yes, we are very certain that there will be massive spending in the social sector, which was the need of the hour. In terms of, if you want to see the impact, you see Mudra scheme, which was 1,80,000 crore, that has been doubled to 3,60,000 crore now. And you see, don't miss the very stress from increasing this, extending from 53 districts to 650 districts. The scheme about lactating women, those who are pregnant women, and this is a huge social scheme, and if you implement all across the country, then people actually will understand that yes, they are getting something from the system they always wanted the system to take care of. So we see that the government is actually acting in terms of launching the welfare measures, helping people, and I don't agree, there's no budgetary things announced, that is for the finance minister to do.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not on that point. I'm not on that point, Mr. Verma. I'm not on that point, Sudeshji. I'm trying to understand from you, the politics behind the speech which has been made by the Prime Minister, because it's very, very clear that he's targeted the rural poor, urban poor, he's targeted women, pregnant women, lactating women. There is something in it for the MSME sector as well, where he's asking banks to increase loans which are to be given to the MSME sectors from 1 crore to 2 crore, where the government will be the guarantor. I'm trying to understand from you whether there is a very clear-cut political messaging behind all these moves which have been announced by the Prime Minister today.
Yeah, of course there is, that this government is for the poor, which we have been saying all the time, because you see the background of the Prime Minister from where he comes. This is bound to happen. Irrespective of the criticism which opposition party will try to lob at us, we do not agree to that, because we know that the government has been taking massive steps for uplift to the poor. Like say for example, Jan Dhan Yojana, 25.5 crore Jan Dhan Yojana accounts were opened before demonetization started. Now it has come to 30 crore accounts, zero balance accounts. It's a huge thing that happened in this
No,
country.
Ajay, the best
Actually,
way
the
to
country is
describe this,
witnessing a
the best way
revolution.
to describe this, and I think Sudesh Sharma is just the first spokesperson who's coming up, and I anticipate more and more BJP leaders to be taking this line, that this entire demonetization drive over the last 50 days now is being shifted in the direction of poor, deprived, underprivileged classes of this country. Would that be the best way to describe this move, this speech of the Prime Minister?
Well, maybe so, Bhupen, but let me just make an observation. And as we mentioned, he needed to show some tangible gains. Now, I find nothing in his speech which would capture the popular imagination.
Why?
I mean, I'll tell you why. If he was indeed thinking of transferring money, now that's something completely dramatically new. What he's done is, what we've seen over the past many decades, various governments in various budgets doing that, you're basically offering various schemes for the poor, the needy, the deprived, the women, the senior citizens. You have various schemes. Some of these schemes were existing. He's tweaked them. No doubt it brings a certain amount of comfort to the poor. But when we are talking of capturing the public imagination, I do not see any particular item which would be discussed avidly at village tea shops that, my God, we've got this now.
No, but
people will say that the Prime Minister has done this loan.
Let me put it this way. I think what you're alluding to,
very
you're alluding to is that when the UPA was in power, there was a farm loan waiver.
Yeah.
There was a 70,000 crore loan waiver which became a big political talking point. But this is a government which, by the